Hey, I'm Marina.
And I'm Emily.
And I've seen everything in the Sex and the City empire 10,000 times.
And I'm starting fresh.
So I'll be woman-splaining the show.
And I'm along for the ride.
But there's a twist. We are starting with And Just Like That and working our way back to the beginning.
So in other words, we're watching it backwards and in high heels.
This is City and the Sex. Okay, 3 episodes to the end of the season. All right, okay. Getting pumped. All right.
That's one word for it. All right,
welcome.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Nope. I thought we started. I'm so sorry.
I did not know.
So
that was
sorry.
just the psychosis I need to get into to do this show. For those of you dropping in, now we have to keep all of this in.
I know. Doesn't that suck?
It does suck. It does suck when I'm just like trying to get warmed up and then the warm up becomes what it is.
All right. Well, this is the best intro I think we've ever done. We don't need another take of that.
Oh, hell yeah.
This is
yeah.
The most professional, organized intro we've done.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No flaws. No flaws. Red carpet. What?
What are we here to do? Why are we here?
Your mom?
Nice.
I'm honestly shocked that's the first Your Mom joke I've dropped in 9 episodes. You should be proud.
That's a good point. I am proud. Look at you.
Thank you. I'm growing. I'm a growing girl. Well, as I was getting my psychosis on to say, we are at And Just Like That, season 2, episode 9, baby. Episode 9.
Which is called what exactly?
There Goes the Neighborhood.
Interesting. Okay.
I felt that they felt that was cheeky.
Yeah.
And I feel that we feel that is not cheeky.
Yes. Yeah. That is such a good distinction of you can tell what the jokes they think are like really good.
And now we're here suffering. Suffering as a consequence.
Oh, hey, nice mug, by the way.
Oh my God, nice mug.
I'm talking about your face.
Okay. I'm glad that all the viewers on this visual medium can see it.
Yeah, exactly. They can hear that you're drinking from a piece of merchandise.
They can hear the merchandise. That's how good the merch is.
They're like, that's a good mug. That's a good ceramic mug.
Yeah.
I can hear that.
Crystal clear. Has the I can feel the logo on it, you know? Mm-hmm. Fun journey with our mugs. So I printed 2 mugs for us. And when I printed these 2 mugs for us, I went to a website first. I think it was Zazzle, one of those. And it flagged the mug as being sexual content for having the word sex on it.
Which, you know what? Good for Zazzle. It is.
Which good for Zazzle. They did a good job. And then I printed these via Canva. And she just let it go right on through.
Let's incriminate them. Canva is basically what we're saying is that Canva will approve your sexual content. You should go do that right now.
Absolutely. I am a stan, an advocate, a blatant propagandist for Canva. I know that's controversial. My partner works in UX design and he's very much like Canva is for like children who are like trying to be something. And I'm like,
well, that's snobbish.
That is me.
We need an entry level. Yeah, exactly. What's with the gatekeeping of Adobe Illustrator? Get out of here.
Exactly. And I used to be able to work the Illustrator, but Canva just makes it so damn easy. I'm reading copy right now. Canva just makes it so
you literally
easy. That I can do my social posts and then just get on with my day.
Right.
This is my audition, by the way, for doing commercials.
Canva, please call us back. Yeah.
Canva, please.
My version of Cappy is like, me as a baby really enjoy Canva. It is such a good product for babies, which is what I am.
Which is what I am. Canva for babies.
Yeah. No, I use Wix for babies.
Oh, okay. Oh, Wix.
And I have tested them all out. I have made my website like 4 times on every single one of these things, and Wix was the winner for babies like me. So For all you babies out there, use code INFANT and you'll get 20% off of your Wix subscription.
What Emily and I are saying is that we will shill anything and everything, particularly website and or social media services. So just make it happen. Wix, right. Squarespace, Canva, call a bitch up.
Yeah.
Call a baby up. That's what we are. And give us some money to push this product to 20 people.
Please. We need to buy a new rattle, please.
I need a new bottle. Just one. So as I said, and just like that, season 2, episode 9, there goes the neighborhood. Emily, what was your consensus on this episode? This episode was kind of, I'm just going to dive right into me because I'm self-centered. I'm going to call this episode Properly Chopped because I feel that everybody got like a little plot that was like cute.
Okay. I think that's good. I think my struggle with this one is I'm running out of ways to say competent. So I like what you just said, because it is one of those things where it's like, if it's inoffensive, I don't have much to say about it. It wasn't like a standout, but it was fine. Also, the ending made me laugh out loud.
Oh man. Oh God. Yes. Well, we'll get into that.
Funny.
Okay. There were a lot of. I think the next episode is very frustrating. Like episode 10 is a very frustrating episode, and episode 9 is like the nice, like, I don't know, refreshing cocktail before you just have to like drink stiff whiskey. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. This is honestly more of like an aperitif kind of episode. Yes. This is like a little taste. It puts you at ease, and then episode 10 is going to hit you like a truck.
Yeah, exactly. So let's get into it. This episode will actually start with Charlotte and Miranda together because their plot is kind of like intertwined. Basically, it starts with Miranda. She's having like a walk and talk with her son, Brady, and she's pissy because Brady didn't want to go to college and he's working at his dad's bar, and she's very concerned that he's going to become expert in crinkle fries, and she kind of bullies him over it, which I was like, okay, I don't think that's going to help you.
It's not going to help your case. I don't really have a lot of thoughts about the scene, to be honest, except for the fact that if anyone cares, this was shot in Queens, even though they tried to make it Brooklyn, and they have a little sign outside that says Brooklyn Brew, but like that's an elevated track in Queens, baby. The road says like 42nd Road or something, like 42nd something. We don't have that. That's Queens. Shout out to Queens.
Wow.
For that location scout.
Wow, yeah. Nail him to the damn cross, Emily.
Exactly. Oh, I'm fact checking this episode.
Yeah.
I'm here for one thing only, and it is not helpful.
I love like Emily, Manhattan Private School, and location fact checker.
Yeah, exactly. It's the only things I'm bringing to this podcast. Look, it's not a lot, but I know my job, and I will do it.
Okay. Well, I do like that we caught them in a goddamn lie of Queens. Goes to show even more that they just don't know what Brooklyn is.
And no, they do not. Anyway,
those
are my thoughts on the scene.
Yeah. There's something about Brady, I think, that I don't know if it's like the actor, maybe he's pulling off bratty teen in a way that's working for me.
I think what I find it tolerable about this bratty teen is that when he says something, he says it with a smile, and Miranda will smile back.
Yes.
So there's a joking quality to it. So even when he says something like that, I don't know if it's the directing or the actors, but to have them both smile is like, oh, they're in on the joke. Whereas when the other person is not smiling and no one's smiling, right? It's just mean. You're just saying like a hurtful thing and the other person's looking hurt. So I like having two people that will like rib each other. That's a fun relationship.
Yeah, like I agree. So then Miranda does something logical, which is that she calls Charlotte and says, can your daughter come over and basically hang out with my son and basically get my son to be behaving well because Lily's such a model child. I guess Charlotte never told her about the power of privilege and the fact that Lily is in her rebel bad girl, fuck the boys phase. That was a mistake.
Yeah, that was an interesting bit of a short-term memory loss there, I gotta say, based on everything we've just seen from this person, to be like, oh, Lily will be a good influence. They should hang out together. Also, Lily, my understanding is a few years younger. Yes, like we've discussed this before. We don't know how old Lily is.
Lily is 15.
Okay, so she's taking like her PSAT. She's not like really in college mode.
Yeah, he's in his first year of college. So when you really think about it, what is that, like
Oh.
18? So they have like 3 years between them.
Ugh. Okay.
I know, that's kind of weird.
It's a little weird. It's like age gaps, I think, make more of a difference at this age because you're changing so much year to year. So like mentally and emotionally where you are at 18 is going to be so different than 15, 16. So that's like weird.
I'm not into it. I also just think it's weird to send a high schooler to go and convince a college kid to get his life together. I just think like that as a plot convenience is just like,
yeah.
I just remember viscerally my first time watching this episode when they get to the scene of like, can Lily come over and help him? I remember thinking like, all right, well, we knew they were going to fuck at some point.
Did we? Speak for yourself.
I will speak for Michael Patrick King when I said, if this man can get a like Zoinks Scoob episode where it's like, are they boning? That he's going to do it. Oh, I was like, it's a matter of time. I was setting the clock. I was like, it is a matter of time before we get the episode of, are the kids having sex? I thought they were going to like date the whole season, honestly.
Well, that's deeply upsetting for me to hear.
It's the truth. And I'm not going to shield you from the truth.
I'm upset. I mean, again, it's like, I think because in my mind, because the ages are so different, in my mind, that doesn't make sense at all. Also, because she looks so young, but her actress is 30. I'm just confused and upset.
Well, I also hate it. Let me be clear. This is my one hate it of the episode, okay? I hate it, but I knew, I said it's a matter of time.
All right.
It's a matter of time because, you know, Michael Patrick King, like, what do we know about him? He's going to do the thing we expect him to do. That is gross and disgusting.
Thing that we don't want to do. Okay.
Yes, that is the thing that no one wants to do. Yeah.
I see. Okay. All right.
Also in this scene, we find out that Harry is throwing Herbert a campaign fundraiser in his own home.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, I'll go along with it. You know, I'll get on the train. But then it like,
yes, you will, because he's going to make them run on time, Mr. Comptroller.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. But then it takes another like weird angled turn where he's like, oh man, this kosher place, the dumplings are too good. And so these two rich people will think that they're not kosher because they are too good. And I need to get to the bottom of it. And I was like,
I understand that we need to give Harry like a conflict in the background, but it not really even a conflict. I think it's more of a joke because everything else will be Charlotte will be doing something and talking about something, and then in the background Harry will be like, man, this caterer, you know, so it's like it's something to just be there for the bit. It's not really that deep, but it is funny that they've given him this problem where it's like so complicated.
It's so complicated.
Just make it like no caterer is available or something. I don't know. There's like there are other problems, but I love this weird convoluted situation.
Yeah, it's fine if he just has like dumb catering problems. I would much rather that than this very convoluted kosher plot that they keep coming back for. Finally, a joke that they like keep coming back to in a way that they should that I don't want.
Yeah, you're so close. You're so close.
So close. But anyway, Charlotte comes home and then she goes to Lily and she's like, Lily, will you hang out with Brady? He needs your help. And Lily's like, ew, why, Mom? Shut the fuck up.
And punches her in the face once again.
But she agrees to it.
Stunning. I mean, well, I guess because of where we're going, but it's just still stunning.
Yeah.
I do like the touch though that Charlotte calls Miranda Aunt Miranda. I think that's cute.
So getting into the plots are well interconnected this episode. I will give them that because we have to set up Naya's plot a little bit here to get into Charlotte and Miranda. So Naya basically found this guy who is like, he looks like a classic surfer bro, and they are fucking a lot in very intricate ways. She's making sounds where I'm like, is she dying?
Yeah. I I want to know what the director's note was for her. You know what I mean? Like that produced this performance. It's stunning, honestly.
I think the director was like, I need you to just scream. I need you to just shout and scream like you are dying.
Like you are dying.
And Karen Pittman said,
I need you to scream like people will be concerned for you.
Yeah, exactly.
That happens in this episode. It's just like the noises are concerning.
There's just something about, instead of being like, oh, you're so big, and then being like, you're so big. Oh my God. It's like, is he killing her with his penis?
I know. She sounds like she's like, it's too big. Please don't.
Yeah, it's like
it really is that level of like kind of weird porn dialogue of like, it's so big, you're so good, in that way that like, is this real? I thought it was going to lead to a punchline of her being like, yeah, the sex was okay.
Yeah.
Because it was so over the top, you know what I mean? But no, she's all right. Okay, that's how I did it. I do want to say, I don't want to jump the gun here, but the point of part of the scene is that Miranda is going to be, as her new roommate, is going to be like privy to this. But isn't Miranda, I'm sorry to harp on this, isn't Miranda literally in a soundproof studio?
Emily nailed them to the cross.
Yes, I'm fact checking them. She's in a literal music. It's like, it's so funny because here's the thing. This plot of roommate is having loud sex and then the other roommate is like can't sleep or disturbed by it, right? Has been done a million times. It is a trope of something. I'm sure it's a name of a trope, whatever. It's like, it's the easiest trick in the book to be like, I need a funny conflict to throw my characters into. It's like page 1, section 1A, right?
Yeah.
And yet, these writers have somehow written themselves into a hole where they're in a situation where this basic example can't be used because Miranda's sleeping in the studio. Like, you put her in a music studio. Oh my God. It's so funny.
Here's the thing is like, you know that they forgot that they did that because it would have been so funny to have Miranda be like, the sex is so loud, I can hear it through the soundproofing.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we would be like, haha. Instead, you know that they forgot that, despite the fact that there is like soundproofing material on the wall.
Yeah.
Literally, that we can see with our own goddamn eyes.
Right. But whatever. They're cowards. They were like, no one will notice. It's fine. Well, I noticed. I'm the fact checker. It's fine.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. And that's why we need you and your journalistic integrity.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I will be accepting Pulitzer nominations at any point during the season.
The one thing I want to flag, though, about this scene is they like finish having sex in this first scene and she's like, whoo, and then she goes, I didn't know good sex could come faster than my pad thai. And I've thought about that line for days.
For days.
I didn't know good sex could come faster than my pad thai. It must be the fact that she ordered him she must be comparing to ordering a man / good sex from a dating app, right?
Right. I think that's the implication is like, we matched and you came over and then we had sex all within a time frame that is smaller than the pad time arriving. That is how I understood this.
Yeah. Well, first of all, if someone said that to me, casual sex haver or not, I would be like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm not saying one cannot, and I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying there's something about this comment that if I heard it, I would be like, I guess I'll go. Like,
I'd be like, that's kind of hurtful. Yeah. It actually would be so funny if that was his response, was to be like, that actually really hurt my feelings. I think I'm just gonna go. That's just it. She's so funny.
Oh God.
Brought to you by Tinder.
Brought to you by Tinder.
And then I could get on with my day.
So easy a baby could use it. No, that's a joke. That's a joke. I want to be clear. I'm not promoting babies on Tinder.
Marina, are there sirens? Do you hear sirens outside your apartment?
Emily, I have to go.
Ouch.
So we have another scene where Naya and this surfer dude have wild sex. And this is a pretty funny joke where Miranda's like gets up to go shower and she hears the sex, and then she's like, no, Naya, it won't be a problem that the only bathroom is in your bedroom. Which is a very classic, I would say, New York issue.
Yes, yeah, that unfortunately actually does make sense. This is one thing that they have added that does make sense, actually.
So she has to go all the way to Brooklyn to shower, and when she arrives in Brooklyn, she finds Lily with no pants on. She finds Lily in like very clearly an oversized male muscle t-shirt with no pants in the hallway. No pants. And she's like, oh, Aunt Miranda, and they do that, and then it's over.
Don't like that.
Don't like that. Don't like that. Don't want it to happen, but that's what Michael Patrick King wants us to watch.
Okay, Matrick, Michael Pikel thing. Whatever.
So then Miranda calls Charlotte. We have another cute moment here where Charlotte's at the gallery being like, what? Screaming. And then everyone looks at her and she's like, oh, Christy's just put me on hold. Nice.
Ha ha ha. Yeah.
Then they go to Chipotle.
This is really funny. Yes, I want. Yeah,
which was like, I feel like the only meme that really came out of this season that people paid attention to was wait, Charlotte and Miranda are at Chipotle, and then the fact that we hear both of their orders in grave detail.
Yeah, this is fascinating. This is a really fascinating piece of product placement because it's so out of place. Yes. It's like. I have never seen an indication from anyone else that Charlotte and Miranda would be going to Chipotle. This like is not their scene. And then also to have them do the order in detail and then also like changing it a few times. I'm like, what are we trying to show here? You know, so Miranda goes in and she's like, steak. Actually, no, let me try that plant-based, vegan one that you have. You know, there's like a thing that's made out of it, but no one reacts to it. It's like a really specific treatment was written up about this product placement that was going to happen, and they were like, we really need the vegan. We got to push to know about the plant-based thing.
Okay, so I thought that they made a big deal out of the vegan thing because she's at Human Rights Watch now.
I guess
that's what I got.
Okay, that's nice.
Come for me. The feeling I get from the Writers Podcast, they were like, what meat would Miranda get? And somebody was like, steak. And then somebody else was like, no, she's at Human Rights Watch now. She's got to be more conscientious about her food choices. And I don't understand why all this length was put here. I think the main setup is that they're like being so technical about the food while they talk about their teens fucking. And that's supposed to be the funny thing. But I don't like either of these.
Yeah, no. Cancel all of it.
And then it's capped off with our favorite, a bitchy Chipotle server.
What a shock. But I would say it's like of the servers, I did notice that he was not as bad as the other ones we've gotten. And I think there is a line of like they might get in trouble with Chipotle if they showed that their service worker isn't nice.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like he can't actually be rude. So we have to have like Charlotte and Miranda be annoying first.
Yes.
So that when he like rolls his eyes at them, it's like funny. It's not like makes him look bad versus every other service worker who's like inexplicably horrible.
Yes. I'd like to also just state again that I am very much open to these roles. Michael Patrick King, I am ready whenever.
Yeah. I am Michael, I'm a bitch. So if you need me, I'm here. Call me.
So then we get to Charlotte at home with Harry, and she's like many of us on a full spiral of like what this means now. Because like, what if they break up? She's like, how am I going to like deal with this? And then she's like, what if they get married instead? And then she's like, oh no, Miranda would be her mother-in-law. That's going to be terrible. And then she's like, actually, what if it's good? And she likes Miranda more than she likes me. And she just goes on this whole downward spiral.
Yeah, back and forth. Here's a good thing, here's a bad thing. I thought this was funny. I thought it was a good scene. I think the Harry catering thing in the background worked in this scene.
Yes. Well,
like, I thought it was very funny.
Because he has a genius. See, they're bogged down in this kosher plot line that no one cares about. When instead they have another plot line that's even better, which is, does he get a coat rack for a spring party? That is genuinely funny.
Yeah.
Because he's right.
Very good.
No one has any idea.
That's the button of the scene. And I wrote down that I was like, this is the one button that's actually worked, which tells me it's like, because usually they don't seem to notice which lines are funny and which ones aren't.
Yes.
This one was like, they understand what's funny. And it could be a funny background thing later in the party. You can see him like looking at the coat rack and being like, no one's putting their coats on. Not enough people brought coats. I didn't need the coat rack after all. You know what I mean? It's like you can have him like in the background trying to solve the mystery of like, do you need a coat rack in the spring?
Or like
funny.
Watching him like pushing a coat rack around, like pulls it out, puts it back in the room, pulls it back out. Like that's so much funny than like me cutting to this, as happens in the scene later on, like this random couple who I don't know, I've never seen, they're not a callback, talking about these dumplings, about whether or not they're kosher. It's like, I can't follow the thread, you know?
We don't even know the couple either, so it's like not that funny, you know?
And I don't get the stakes. I need like one line that's like, oh, these people, they're big time comptroller donors.
Right. They're the people we need to impress. Yeah, that's a good point. We also don't know why they're here, why they're so important. So it's very strange. You had a layup right there with the thing you wrote. They always find the more convoluted.
And then you just kicked it to the soccer field, you know?
They're playing soccer and we gave them a layup and they're like, let's play soccer.
Yeah.
Is that a good sports metaphor?
I was saying because you said layup, that made me think basketball. Okay, now we get to be very vulnerable with America and expose ourselves as not being sports people. Other than you being avid hockey fan, which I'm incredibly proud of, I am still in sports ball land where I'm like, what? So I heard layup and I thought you were talking basketball. And so I was like, to go, oh yeah. So that's what I was saying. He went to go dribble the basketball and then decided to kick it onto a soccer field instead.
Right, exactly. Yeah, no, I picked up what you were putting down. I was we were playing basketball and then he went over to play soccer.
Yeah. You just, technically you did say he went from playing soccer to playing soccer.
Oh, I messed up. I'm sorry.
Well, you're fired, so.
Okay, well, fact check me. The tables have turned.
When the fact checker gets fact checked.
You just wanted to say fucked.
Boom, I did.
I saw you try.
I did. Yeah. I did. You saw my mouth go to say the word fucked and then realize that was wrong, and then I had to backpedal. This has been really good for both of us. This has been really exposing and good for the both of us.
This is good. We're learning. We're growing.
So then we wrap up Naya's plot. The thing that she loves about this guy, in addition to the fact that he fucks her so hard that she's dying, is that immediately after they can just be on their phones and not like really like cuddle or talk or like have any connection of any kind. And so they wrap up a session and she looks at her phone and she scrolls and she finds out that Andre Rashad is indeed pregnant with Heidi in the big hat from a couple episodes ago. And my big note from this scene was like, can't we just let Naya have fun?
I know.
Can't we just let her have fun? Why does she have to see this?
I know we don't have to end this way. That can just be her thing for the episode. It says she's off having fun. It lasted an episode.
Yeah.
Half an episode. It's just not fair. Also, I'm sorry, like, we don't know that much about Andre. What we've seen, we haven't been impressed with, obviously. But like, God, what a sleaze bag.
I know. It's so gross, especially coming when you remember that like she tried to kind of like have that FaceTime like phone sex with him to like try and still be together, and he was like playing guitar with that girl, and then she was like, oh, you definitely have cheated on me, and he was like, not yet. Gross.
Yeah. So already we were grossed out by him basically being like, I'm having an emotional affair with this other girl, which was like not what they had talked about. So already he was like kind of in the doghouse. But I find this really weirdly juvenile, is to be like, I mean, I know we have to have him see it. So like obviously he has to post it somewhere, but like, I'm sorry, posting it on Instagram a few months after like your marriage has dissolved over pregnancy issues.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like there's something really pointed about that and really fucking sinister. I mean, not to psychoanalyze it, but like that's really hard. That's really dark.
Yeah. This is, I also think, a very good Oh, Emily moment of like, just wait till I get to season 1. Like, you think he's reprehensible now? Like, just wait till we like talk about.
Oh, I have to watch her suffer from this man more.
Yeah, you have to actually watch them be together. So that wraps up Naya's plot. And I just wanted her to have fun. I wanted her to like, I don't know, get broken and have to go to the hospital. You know, I just wanted,
that would be unfortunately a funny way for this to end. Is like she ends up getting like physically harmed and is like, well, I had the time of my life, off to the ER. That's my headcanon. Let's just pretend that happened instead.
Yeah. So then we get to this famous campaign fundraiser party thing. I'll get into like LTW and Herbert in a second, but just to kind of wrap up the Charlotte Miranda of it all. She invites her boss, Victor Garber. Love him. Classic. Anytime he can be in an episode. Thank you very much. She invites Victor Garber. And so Harry is like, what's Victor Garber doing here? And she's like, he's my boss. And then he's like, he's having you work late and you're definitely fucking. And then she's like, no, we're not. You're being crazy. Also, he only likes blondes. And then we cut to him talking to Carrie, which is funny.
Funny. Okay. Look, we're fair. When something is funny, we will list it and we will say funny afterwards so that you know how we feel about it. We're fair.
So then Miranda and Charlotte basically are just snooping on Brady and Lily the whole time. Then we have one of my favorite moments ever, which is that, so in the background of all of this, Anthony and Giuseppe's relationship is somewhat progressing. They've been on dates. But as Giuseppe says to him, 5 dinners and no dick. That's, how do you say, not very gay.
Very funny.
Which, that's got to be a needlepoint pillow at some point.
True. A lot of things that the poet says, the Italian poet that Anthony is dating, could be needlepoint pillows. They're interestingly matched because Anthony, as we've talked about, is a big one-liner guy. Like he's very funny. He's got the best lines in the show. He comes in for the actual one-liners that are actually witty. Carrie. But this poet has one-liners in a way that's very different, which makes them a very interesting pair. You know what I mean? Like he says these things that are so blunt that they're so funny.
Yes.
I don't know. I love that we're seeing more of him. I thought he was going to be like a one and done bit with the show going on Drew Barrymore's show, but I'm glad we're seeing more of him because I find him very funny.
Yeah, I actually think, and this is no bias.
Oh, okay.
By that I mean incredibly biased. I think he is like the one good thing that has come out of this show, and I hope that this actor that they found like is able to pull more things from this, because I think he is very funny. I think he like could have easily, been very kind of one note, but he like gives kind of an extra flair to this performance that is selling me. Like even, he makes a joke that, because he keeps calling Anthony Tony, and Anthony's like, I've never been called Tony in my life, and then he's like, you're Tony and I'm Maria, and then they like play the West Side Story, like I Feel So Pretty instrumental at the end of the scene, and like it's all very cheesy, and yet I'm buying it.
Right. He's very romantic, which makes it so funny because Anthony is like so cynical, and like hides behind his whatever. So I find them really charming.
I find them very charming. So when we were at the party, Anthony's like, that's it. I'm swearing Giuseppe off because now I know why he's dating me. It's because of the green card. Because basically Anthony can't believe that this guy is like into him, which is like very touching. He has a great line here because Anthony shows up and he's like, I got burrata, your favorite. And Anthony's like, you can make me a plate, doesn't make me your wife, and storms off. A line I'm going to be using for the rest of my life. Then like I don't remember exactly how it is that they like figure their shit out, but they kind of like figure their shit out. Do you remember how that scene is?
somehow finds out about the green card thing where Anthony is like, I've seen 90 Day Fiance, I know what this is about. And he's like, Anthony, I grew up in Buffalo. Or
oh,
something.
yes, you're right. You're right.
His pronunciation of Buffalo is like very funny.
They then like make out very ferociously. And then as Charlotte and Miranda are like, we're seeing them in different vignettes stalking their children, they get to Lily's door. And then they're on the other side of Lily's door. And they're like, what are they doing in there? Maybe they're just hanging out. And then Charlotte's like, well, I haven't seen Rock. So maybe the three of them are just chatting, or maybe they're fucking. There's like all this stress. So then Charlotte finally just like opens the door to like kind of be like, I gotcha. But the room is empty. And then they close the door, and then you see that Anthony and Giuseppe are behind the door, pants down.
Very good.
Very good.
I mean, going back to what you said before, like the way that plots are intertwined is very good. Like, this is how television should work. Isn't that so refreshing?
We've made it. We've made it to a solid example of television.
Hooray!
Yay!
And guess what? It only took Italians.
Well,
because we save every movie plot that has ever happened. You're welcome.
Okay.
You can shit on Christopher Columbus, but guess what? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just saying, it seems like
you said it, not me.
It just seems like to me, whenever a TV show is stuck, they're like, bring an Italian in here, and suddenly it's all great and fun.
Wow, that's such a good point. That is so true.
We deserve a special tax. That's all I'm saying.
A tax?
Yeah, we deserve to get a tax deduction for saving your ass, Hollywood.
You just show up to the negotiations between like the studios and SAG-AFTRA, and you're like, I have this other thing you haven't considered.
I have the Italian clause. It therefore hereto says that if an Italian is in your content, AI generated or not, they must receive a tax deduction for saving your ass.
And the studios are like, is she with you? And Fran is like, I thought she was with you.
And then I'm just gently pulled away by security. And then Chris Cuomo puts me on his show. And then my life's mission is accomplished.
Why is that how this sad tale ends?
Oh,
Incredible.
God. Oh, God. Yeah.
Hey, who's knocking on your door? Is that Chris Cuomo?
Chris Cuomo? I measure my life by, have I been invited to Chris Cuomo's show yet? No? Well, gotta keep going.
I see. All right.
That plot ends. Charlotte and Miranda, when they close the door, Charlotte's like, you know what? Or they're waiting for the two kids later, and then the two kids come back and they're like, oh, we got pizza because we were hungry. Charlotte's like, you know what? I'm actually done stalking them. I had a lot of sex my mother didn't know about, and I turned out fine, so we'll just let it go. So now I want to backpedal to LTW and Herbert, since the whole party that they're hosting is about them. So when we first see LTW this episode, she is asleep at her very famous desk in her closet, and Herbert basically is like, our daughter had Lucky Charms for dinner, like, what is going on? And LTW is like, I don't know, like, I'm just so tired because her film that we never got to see has now been picked up by PBS as a miniseries. And so she is like, yeah, I'm just burning the candles at both ends. And then he's like, well, did you do all the campaign stuff I asked you to do? And she was like, no, because I wanted to do my work first. And he's like, okay, but I need you to do this campaign stuff. And she's like, okay. And she does name drop one of my favorite people of all time, which is Poirot. So I'll give her that.
Yeah, we want to reward that when it happens. And we would like to see more of that.
I would like to see more Poirot references. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay. So they kind of have that little tiff. Then later, LTW is asleep in her closet before the campaign event and wakes up and is like, oh God, I'm late. And Herbert's at the campaign event and he's just like, where's LTW? I can't get started on my speech without her. And then she shows up, and when I saw this scene for the first time, I screamed at the television. I was so upset because basically he's like, you're late. And she's like, I'm not late. I'm pregnant, right before he's supposed to deliver his speech. And then he's like all flustered. And then the episode ended. And I was like, I cannot take this. I cannot take this. I was like, first of all, it upset me because I was like, why is LTW getting all of the plots? She's getting like the mom plot, the husband finance plot, now the pregnant, the like kind of, later in life pregnancy plot. I was like, I can't. And then I was like, I cannot. It made me so angry because I was like, I just want her to do her documentary thing. I was like, I don't want a baby plot. Because remember at the time, this was like a cliffhanger episode. So it was like, I don't want a baby plot. Like, it just made me so angry because I was like, I literally do not want to see this. It made me so angry on first viewing and on second viewing too.
You know what? On second viewing, giving it more time and thought, I was angry again.
Yes.
We've talked about this before where like, I really don't buy that. Like, first of all, I agree. I'm not really interested in the plot of like, oh, but I just don't have time. And then the conflict is like, well, there's just so many things. And we're so conflicted with our time. He has a thing and I have a thing. And oh no, like, I don't think that is very interesting as a plot. It doesn't really have legs beyond just like a couple beats. On top of that, I just don't buy like this is a conflict because like Herbert is so, sorry, he's such a funny name. Okay. Sorry. Herbert, her husband, is so supportive. Like, he's the most supportive character to anyone on this show. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's hands down the best and most patient and gracious with his time. And then when we get to this thing where she was falling asleep, first of all, I'm glad that there was an explanation because I did have a line that was like, is she narcoleptic? Because this is like a serious problem. Falling asleep at the desk because, oh, I'm so busy. That's one thing. When he calls her to be like, where are you? The event is happening and I'm having a speech soon. She's asleep in her closet, draped over the ottoman, like dangling. And the phone's like on the floor and her limbs are like dangling off the ottoman. It's like, I was like, did she just collapse? Like, this is not, I curled up to shut my eyes for a second and fell asleep. It's like, this woman like fell onto this ottoman. It's like horrifying. So I really thought there was some medical problem. So I'm glad there was an explanation. But I was also kind of mad because she, I feel like, is constantly mad at him for what feels like kind of nothing. And then she's slighting him a lot and never gets to say sorry. Do you know what I mean? Like, he kind of never gets to be in the position of like, hey, I actually really needed you. And I feel like you really not prioritized me, especially with this campaign, which was your idea. And like, I didn't suggest it. You know, she's never really had to like answer for that.
Yeah. So that kind of wraps up the episode for her. Before I get to kind of Carrie, I just want to chat about Seema first. So Seema, is showing the Marvel director around New York with the very famous real estate guy from $1 Million Listing.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know how to pronounce his last name, so like pray for me. But Ryan Serhart, something like that.
Okay.
And he's a chill.
That's a good bit of behind the scenes trivia.
Little cameo. So he's showing them this apartment, and then he like is like, I have to go take a call or something. And Seema basically gets mad at the director because he's like, oh, is this the best apartment in Manhattan? And she's like, I already showed you the best apartment in Manhattan. She's like, it's been 3 weeks. And then he's like, well, I haven't chosen an apartment because like I enjoy spending this time with you. And I'm like, she didn't pick up the hint for 3 weeks.
Also, it doesn't seem like he's enjoying his time with her because he has spent the entirety of the tour
on
his
his
house
phone
tour that we've seen on his phone.
Yes.
Talking about movie stuff.
Yes. Also, I just hate that every other line out of him is movie puns.
It is so comically bad.
It is so bad.
When they sleep together again, the next time he says something like, oh, if I knew there was going to be a sequel.
I
you know. What I mean? Like, who is this like robot? He's like an NPC that can only say like 5 lines and they're all about movies.
And they're all about movies. Yeah, I know. I think they think that's charming and it's not. But anyway, he's like, oh, I've been doing this because I want to hang out more with you. And then like, it's just like on. They just like jump at each other. I love that they like boost the music to tell you that the chemistry is palpable. Mm-hmm. I don't feel that there is chemistry, but the music is certainly telling me that I should believe that the chemistry is palpable.
That's a very good point. They're trying to be sneaky. It's like that. This is what production does, is like you have music, you have editing. This is how post-production can like try to help sell a scene. But like Marina and I are too good for that. We know what's going on. And what's going on is that we have no chemistry because this character has not been developed. You did not have the patience to come up with a character for him. It's fine, you don't need to, but then don't expect to like us to buy into like, oh, they have such steamy chemistry.
Yes, exactly. And then it ends on this other weird note for me, which is that like basically they fuck in the listing, then we see them like post coitus and she's like running around being like, I've never done that, like, you know, I've never done the listing or whatever, and then basically he's like, well, I'll take it if that makes it better. And she's like, okay. And then she like runs downstairs with her hair all muffled into $1 million listings guy. And she's like, he'll take the apartment. And then the guy says, we do what we have to do to close the deal. And then the scene ends. And I was like, again, it was one of those lines like the pad thai where I'm like, I know that they think it's funny and I guess technically it's cute, but there's something in the way that he said it that just made it seem so ominous. Like, I guess we have to do what we have to do to close the deal.
Like a threat.
Like, fuck
so
people.
much of this show would be different if we had different music cues. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like if you had like horror violins come in there, it's like the whole scene, the whole show shifts just because of that. Because that is an ominous thing to say.
It's so odd. Like,
and then back out of the room slowly.
In any other movie or TV show, that would be like him clearly accusing her of being like a whore. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and he doesn't even say it in a cheeky way. Like, he doesn't like smile and wink and like, well, we have to do to close the deal. Like, zoinks. Mm-hmm. Like, I would take that. Instead, he's like, well, we do what we have to do to close the deal.
They also don't. What would have helped is they also referred to each other in like as like first name basis, which they don't. But if they did, if it was like, oh, they're friends, then it's like cheeky. It's like, okay, Seema, whatever you do. And she'll be like, yeah. Then I feel like we could sell it as like the friend is teasing the friend. But because this is like a stranger and a professional that she doesn't know, it's a weird thing to say. It does feel like an insult. It's like, all right, horror. And then walks out of the apartment. It's like, okay, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it made me uncomfortable. We zoom forward with Seema and she has like a double date with Carrie and Aiden, and Aiden and the movie director like bro out because Aiden's seen his not Marvel movie.
Yeah, he seems to be what I think is like, they're kind of alluding to like Bollywood director or like action movie star, because he says that me and my boys love Nepal Kapow.
Yeah.
That's the name of the movie. And then he also says, I loved the scene where the tigers like burst out of the train at the guys, which is a sort of like absurd image. It's very, I think it literally happens in like RR, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, I think they're trying to go for like, he's like cheesy Bollywood action star who is now also like a Marvel director who's...
I think they're trying to imply that the guys from RRR get equipped by Kevin Feige to direct the next Marvel movie.
Which like lit.
Which like, why has no one done that?
You know what? Actually, Marina, I think you've solved like the phase 4, phase 5 problem that Marvel's having.
Oh, absolutely.
We've solved it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's fascinating. I like though that is Aiden's thing. I enjoy Aiden being sort of like big dumb himbo, like when he comes along is nice to see.
Yes.
And I like him being like, oh my God, my boys and I love this movie. I love him geeking out over it. I just like when people are nice to each other.
Yeah, I know.
So many people are so mean. It's so nice to have Aiden as this breath of fresh air to be like, my boys and I love Nepal Kapow.
I know. It's like, and then I feel like I love when then Carrie and Seema are in the bathroom and Carrie's like, I don't know what he's talking about. And you're like, you know what? Maybe you should. Maybe you should read a book and be cultured and watch things like Nepal Kapow and then just appreciate life instead of being so bitter. I agree.
Thank you. Oh my God. Thank you, Marina. Read her to felt.
Sorry.
Pick up a book.
Watch
a movie.
The fact
Pick
that
up a book that's not your own.
The fact that they both like roll their eyes, being like, "Boys will be boys." I'm like, what?
Would it kill you to have an interest in something that isn't brunch? I swear to God.
So they talk in the bathroom and Seema's like, what's happening to me? Like, I'm so into him. She says, he's so wrong for me. And I'm like, why? He's rich and he fucks you. Isn't that what you wanted? Isn't that what we all want? Sorry.
Right. What's the downside? And she immediately jumps to like marriage and like I think that could have been a funny joke if she suddenly was like, oh, he'd be a terrible husband, and Carrie being like, slow down. You don't have to vet everyone with husband material. He can also just be a fun time.
Yeah.
But they don't make that joke. She just says that and then they change subjects.
Seema's problem that they set up, I think, is that like she has casual sex, but she really wants the love of her life. And she's just never had it because she's too much of a girl boss. Right, ladies? And that's like what they set up for her. It's so hard to see Carrie and Aiden on screen, which is like they have so much chemistry, the actors, and also they've, been playing these parts together for, decades. So they just have a lot of palpable, like, they're like touching each other and like whatever. I feel like Seema and the Marvel director are just like not touching each other. And it's hard because they want Seema to be acting like she's not as into him as she is. But then it just like comes across like she's not really that into him. So I just like their whole relationship confuses me. For me, it feels very much like a show don't tell issue where they keep telling me that like she's definitely falling for him and is definitely obsessed with him. But I'm not like seeing it because they keep giving her the acting direction to like put it under wraps because Seema's trying to hide it. And then I'm just confused because I'm like, why do we care so much about this Marvel director, especially when he can only talk in movie puns?
This NPC. Yeah, I think you've nailed why it's confusing. We're rushing a little bit. If we had more time, I would buy it. I think this needed to wait for like the next episode and for Seema and Carrie to be debriefing later about like her saying, oh, so you brought this mystery man all of a sudden to dinner. That seems really exciting. And then Seema like lets us know how she's feeling.
Yeah, I feel like I needed to see a proper dinner scene where Seema like wigs out. Yeah. Like she like can't compute because she's like so into him, but then she has to like hold back. I feel like we never get that scene. And so then I'm just confused why this is a problem.
Yeah.
Oh, well, pour one out for another supporting character that doesn't get enough. And on that note, we go to Carrie. We open on Carrie and Aiden in Che's Hudson Yards apartment. I have to say, Carrie's outfit, I just have to call it out in this opening scene, is so, so pretty and something I want. It's like a see-through cashmere sweater dress thing. It's such a gorgeous with like little sequins. It's just gorge. Anyway, so she's waiting around for Aiden. Aiden comes because his flight just landed. My whole thing is every time Aiden talks about the flight, I spend the whole episode thinking about how one gets from New York to Norfolk, Virginia. And I just wanted to highlight that as like a very particular DMV problem.
Yeah, we need to investigate more. I'm sad we don't see more of it. We miss a lot of Aiden's life. Like, things happen off screen. Carrie meets the kids off screen. Carrie meets his ex-wife off screen. We don't see any of it. So it's just the things they choose to show us confuse me.
So Carrie and Aiden meet up and he arrives. He gets a FaceTime from his son, Wyatt, who's like, you didn't text me when you landed. And then he's like, when are you coming back? Another bratty teen to our Hall of Fame.
I love this. This is so great. We haven't seen this before. We haven't seen this depth of character.
Original,
watching a
fresh.
Brat.
Yes.
It's new. It's exciting.
Thrilling. And
also, who names a child Wyatt?
Well, all three of the names are crazy.
What are the other kids' names?
Homer, Tate, and Wyatt. First of all, in the year of our Lord 2023, you can't name people Homer anymore. I know he means it to be like Homer, like the Odyssey Homer, but Everyone is thinking of The Simpsons.
Homer Simpson.
And that kid is getting bullied.
And even like before The Simpsons came out, people would be like, Homer? You mean like the Greek writer? That's like a little, oh, okay, Thucydides. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's calm down for a second. Anyway, Homer.
And then Tate
Wyatt
is like a guy who played football but broke his Achilles tendon before he could go pro in college. And now he just like drinks on a bender. That's who Tate is.
You've sealed his fate by naming him Tate.
Like that. It's like naming the child Scar. You know, what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, of course he's the villain.
And then there's Wyatt, which is...
And he's the one who actually has issues.
And he's the problem child, and it shows because that name sucks.
Yeah, so I would have problems too, you know?
But anyways, building management knocks on the door and slips them a note basically telling them to get the fuck out. Mm-hmm. And one more time, Carrie's like, we could go to my place. And Aiden's like, absolutely not. So then we flash forward and we see Che quickly at the shelter. And this non-binary person named Toby comes in with a box full of kittens. And Toby and Che kind of flirt. He's like, Toby walks in and is like, you really look like that stand-up Che Diaz.
It's really funny.
And they like flirt over that. And then Toby's like, oh, I love your stuff. Like, I'd love to see you. And Che's like, actually, I'm working on a new set. And then Toby leaves and Judy's like, oh, you were working on a new set? And Che's like, now I am. And whatever. But that leads us to Che at Carrie's apartment with a cat being like, this cat is yours.
Like that there are cats in this episode. Yes, that's fine.
I do like that there are cats.
There are some easy points, which is like mention Hercule Poirot and put cats.
Then you and I are on board.
We're simple people.
We'll at least make it through the end of this season.
Yeah, but yeah.
My thing is I kept going back and forth on like, is Carrie the kind of person to have a pet? Because so very famously, I won't get into it, but actually Aiden has a dog and Carrie has to care for this dog for a couple episodes. And long story short, it doesn't go well. And I think because Carrie is inherently not a maternal figure. Mm-hmm. And maybe the writers are trying to tell me like maybe now Carrie is a maternal figure. I don't know, but that was my first thing with the cat. I was like, that cat is adorable. And then I was like, I don't know if Carrie is really a pet person.
They're going to write off this cat when they get tired of it. It's going to be there in the background when they enjoy it. And then at some point, someone's going to have an offhanded line about like, and then remember when you gave the cat to a shelter? You know what I mean?
Yeah. It turns out that what's really funny about these cats that I learned from the writers podcast is like they filmed one of the scenes with the cat and then they had to refilm another one of the scenes with the cat. But by the time that they had to do that reshoot, the original cat had grown because kittens grow fast. So they had to find like an identical kitten.
It's really funny.
To like do the reshoot. Movie problems.
Well, yeah, that already has, I think, sealed the cat's fate for me. Is like it inconvenienced them during reshoots. It's unfortunately a goner.
Well, I will say though, a little bit of a spoiler, but Sarah Jessica Parker actually adopted the cat.
Very cute.
Post-production.
Oh, I'm glad it has a home.
So the kitten does have it. Those other kittens in the box, fuck them.
Yeah, she was like,
but the main star has a home. His off-camera name is Lotus.
Lotus, like Lotus.
He and his siblings were all given botanical names when they were rescued as newborns by the Humane Society, adopted officially by the Parker Broderick family in April 2023.
Very cute.
So
okay, it's very sweet.
That's
everyone go look at these cats.
You know, we've been corporate shills all day, but right now we're going to be a humanitarian shill and say adopt, don't shop.
There it is.
There it is.
Put that on your needle point.
So Che basically forces this cat on Carrie. Carrie's like, I don't know. And then we get into this like weird conversation where basically Carrie's like, oh, we got kicked out of your apartment. And Che's like, I know. And also I was going to kick you out soon anyway, because now that I'm working at the vet shelter, I'm able to make my payments month to month. And then I started thinking about, wait a minute. Che got this very fancy Hudson Yards apartment that's got to be like $4K minimum a month. How is a vet shelter job helping them get month to month on a $4K apartment rental?
Yeah, do they just have no living expenses outside of rent? I agree. I was like, I actually don't think that's going to pay that bill.
Yeah, I was like,
I think you need to break that lease.
I don't know why they put this in here. It should have just been like, yeah, I got the message from the management company too. Like, so sorry.
I guess I have to move out.
Like, but whatever.
Whatever. Okay.
And then we get yet again another conversation of Che being like, so what happened between you and Aiden? I'm sick of it. The fact that Che gets 2 of these conversations of like, so what happened to you guys? And then we get some like weird mystery woo-woo answer.
Yeah, that's so true. That is such a good point that Che does so why doesn't he come into this apartment? Anything you want to, like kind of just sets it up just for Carrie to say something vague.
Yeah.
Is annoying. He got hurt.
Looks wistfully at the wall. Cue. Yeah, I'm against it.
So annoying.
You
wouldn't get it.
It's
so funny. It's always funny.
Our favorite meme of all time. So as we said, Carrie and Aiden, they go on a double date with Seema and the Marvel bro. They talk in the bathroom and Carrie is like, I want to sell my apartment, which I have to say, when I first did the first watch through of the series, I think I might have been kind of pissed about it.
Okay.
I think probably just from like I think I was holding on to some fan. It's just like, it's hard. I've lost so much of the original Sex of the City watching this new reboot. Okay. And I feel like they just keep trying to twist the knife into me. And I don't know what I've done. It's like, I don't have Samantha for obvious and correct reasons. We stand Kim Cattrall. That's not a negative on her. I'm just saying, like, we lost Samantha. That was critical. Like, we've lost the voiceover. Like, we've lost like things that were endearing. We've lost like a lot of the charming costuming. Like, we've lost a lot. And then when they added on top of the cake being like, and we're going to sell the set that you've all come to know and love. I was like, what do you just take everything?
What you're saying is your reaction was, and then Tori can insert here as Steve being like, this is my house. You cannot take this house from me.
It's my house.
You're taking everything else from me.
I built it.
Stupid bookshelves.
Fucking bookshelves.
That's exactly how I felt. Yes.
Okay, cool.
That's exactly how I felt.
All right, I understand.
And now that I'm so desensitized on second viewing, I was kind of like, sure, fine.
Just
fucking do it.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting insight. So did she have the same apartment through the entire run of Sex and the City?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. All right, then I can understand.
In the show, she never leaves that apartment. In the first movie, she and Big find an apartment, but they make it like to live in together, but they make it very clear that she didn't sell that original apartment. And then that original apartment has a plot point in Sex and the City 2 that you know of. Mm-hmm. And then it's where she goes in season 1. So like
which
just
seems
like
also a very different set. And I don't mean like, oh, they have to use the same set or anything like that. I just mean like, it didn't occur to me, oh yeah, that is the apartment. I've totally forgot about that plot until you just brought it up.
Yeah.
Where is this apartment?
Where is the apartment located? Great question. The exterior is filmed in the West Village, but it is the Upper East Side.
Like in canon, it's supposed to be the Upper East Side.
Yeah, it's like the 70s.
Okay.
I don't know. People are going to absolutely drag me to filth because I don't know the exact cross streets, but it's like in the 70s, Upper East Side.
Okay, sure.
Okay. So it is kind of weird for Lisette, a Gen Zer, to be like, who would ever leave the Upper East Side? But you know what? It's okay.
Yeah, that is funny. That we are going to get to that scene in a second. The Lisette scene is very funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is good. This is good background for me. And also as again someone who didn't have emotional attachment, I was like, yeah, sure, sell the apartment. Why not? At this point, like you're doing everything else for Aiden. Like this might as well happen. You selling this apartment.
It just felt like another dig at me, where I was like, Why? My baby.
My baby.
So Carrie wants to sell the apartment. And then we get to the scene where Cosima ends being like, I actually have the perfect place for you. And then we have this really touching Carrie, Miranda, Charlotte scene where Carrie shows them this gorgeous Gramercy Park villa. Just kidding, like brownstone that she is thinking about buying. And she's saying, like, there's all this room for me and Aiden. And maybe, like, if the boys want to come visit and all my clothes, and they laugh. And this was one of those scenes where it was like touching on nostalgia for me in a way that was good. And I remember in the first watch through made me warm up to the idea of selling the apartment. I don't know. You know what I mean? I was like, I feel like maybe they're actually thinking instead of just trying to trash my fucking heart.
Right. They're actually being intentional about it rather than like, let's have her make a decision. And we don't have any other big decisions left for her to make aside from selling an apartment. Right. And it is nice that she shows it to them and not Aiden first.
Yes, exactly.
And I also feel like in the hands, there is a dangerous chance at this moment could have been like, let me call up my best friend in the world, Che Diaz, to see my new apartment. God.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's nice to finally have a reprieve and have a moment where it's like, oh no, her best friends are her best friends in this moment. Also, God, this apartment is so pretty.
The apartment is so pretty.
It made me want to cry. I was like, God, I want money. It's so gorgeous.
Apparently, these apartments, so we learn kind of later that it's near Gramercy Park because she's like, and you get a key to the park that only residents can use. And these apartments actually do exist in Gramercy Park. Like the exterior actually is in Gramercy Park because Michael Patrick King had a friend who lived in the building next door. So like the building that they shoot as the exterior, the one next to it is Michael Patrick King's friend.
Very nice.
So, and then we find out that Aiden's ex wants to meet up with her. Before we actually get to that scene, I want to get through kind of the party, the campaign event, because Carrie does attend the campaign event, looking like Princess Leia. She has like a big side bun and then a weird like robe dress that looks like Princess Leia. The one miss this episode.
The one miss.
Charlotte and Miranda tell her that their kids are fucking, and she has this weird joke that's like, oh, it's like hearing your stuffed animals are fucking. And then Miranda's like, how do you think we feel? I was like, what? I don't know. That was one of those I just wrote down because I was like, what?
Yeah, but that's my only response to some of the stuff with the Brady and Lily line. It's just okay.
Yeah,
I don't have the energy for this.
Thankfully, Victor Garber sweeps in, as we heard. Yeah. They have that little joke where they're like, she only flirts with blondes, and then he's talking to Carrie, and they're talking about their marriages, and he's like, did you fuck your marriage up like I fucked my first, second, and now third, like har. And then Carrie's like, no, I actually had a wonderful marriage and it ended too soon.
She stares off wistfully. It's funny that Carrie loves to do this thing of say the vague thing and stare off wistfully while the music cue happens, because in reality, first of all, you're at a party. Don't stare off wistfully into the sunset. But also, like, he just told you a very self-deprecating, self-loathing thing of like, oh, my marriages are terrible. And her response was, well, mine was amazing.
Yeah.
It's like so rude.
It's so rude. Also, this scene is written per the Writers Podcast as a counteractive to the scene we saw in the last episode where she's like, was Big a big mistake? It's like, this is now the writers being like, no, she does still care about Big, you guys. And it's like, I don't want it.
I don't want it. I was also going to ask you that when we got to the end of this episode. The was Big a big mistake was such a well done moment. I felt like that scene was very impactful and it was intriguing. And I think for the first time in this entire season, I was actually excited to see what happens next. And then they drop it like a stone and never talk about it again. And that makes me upset to hear that they included this as an answer to that scene. Cause like you just can't write a series this way where like you are so overly concerned with how the audience is responding to things and thinking about things. And then when you are worried about what you do, you go back to like erase it and erase any consequences of it because you are maybe nervous about how the audience might respond. Like, that's a very Last Jedi Rise of Skywalker way of writing.
Yes.
And I think it's very exhausting.
Yeah, it's weird to me that like their approach, I feel like everyone understands what a narrative arc is, right? Even if you're not like in making movies or whatever, you have a general sense of like what a narrative arc is in like a book or a movie that you're watching. It's so fascinating to me that they don't ever really refer to people's arcs in that way. So what is Carrie's arc journey with Big? It's very clear. It's like, well, now she's struggling with like, should she have picked Aiden over Big in the past, right? But like nothing about this conversation makes her reevaluate if Big was a big mistake. This man literally is just like, I hate my wives. How about you? And she's like, no. And I'm like, and then it just kind of, and then it's gone. And then it kind of like vaporizes. You know what I mean? And episode to episode, you're not sure if that's the end of it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't trust this show and the writers that like we're being left hanging on purpose. The point you make about them not talking about them as like arcs. I totally see that. I totally see that they are not approaching this as like a narrative arc at all. We've talked before how they have this, they really struggle with this concept of like beginning, middle, and end.
Heard of it? Heard of it?
Heard of it? So I'm not surprised at all to hear that. And like that is such an astute point because that is exactly what it feels like. And it's so disappointing because then you have these little moments like the did I make a big mistake that are genuinely interesting and could be, sorry, but good television. Like you could have gone somewhere really interesting. Heard of it?
Yeah. No, but I agree that they just like, again, it's like, is Big a big mistake is a genuinely interesting question that I feel Carrie has never really thought about. And then like, this is the answer to that. A random scene with Victor Garber. And then Carrie meets with Aiden's ex. This was another scene that I think kind of dovetails with the point that we're making, which is like they give us these interesting things and then they kind of do nothing with them. So the concept of Carrie meeting Aiden's ex is inherently fascinating. The ex has not existed before this episode. So this is like, we've never seen Aiden's wife. You know, they're only divorced now that we're in And Just Like That. So like we never, in the original show, in the movies, we never see the wife. She's just like an enigma.
Okay. Totally.
And then you think about like her meeting the wife for the first time and you're like, the questions that would be asked, that would be the things that would be on the table, the awkward, like there's just so many things that you're like, if I locked myself or somebody in a room and was like, okay, I want you to write a scene between Carrie and Aiden's ex-wife and just like go for it. Like you would come up with like 10,000 ideas. Instead, it's this like weird kind of letdown scene where they get there and there's like all this tension and you're like, oh, and then the ex-wife is like, I just really wish that you wouldn't write about my boys in your book. And Carrie's like, okay, I won't. And then she's like, good. And then she's like, also don't hurt Aiden. And Carrie's like, I won't. And she's like, okay. Because like, you can't do it. And then Carrie's like, okay, do you want a croissant? And she's like, no, I'm good. And Carrie's like, all right, I'm going to go grab a croissant. And then the scene is over.
And then it's
like, what?
What are we doing here?
What are we doing here?
This is a monumental waste of my time.
Again, it's like, I don't think that the wife has to be mad at Carrie.
Right.
But like, I'm just missing, the scene is set up for dramatic tension that it is somehow lacking, which is wild. Because it's just on the paper, the scene should be crazy dramatic.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was even expecting her to be like, I don't want you to hang out with my kids anymore. Like, I think my kids are off limits. That would be even more interesting, frankly speaking.
Marina, why aren't you writing this show?
Why
am I not booked you have
and
is so
blessed?
much better. And it's right there. That's what was also infuriating. Is like, it's right there. They just always choose the other thing. You're so right. That is where this should have gone. Is like, don't write about my boys as kind of like a way to start the conversation softly. And then she works her way up to like, and also Yeah, about them visiting you in your new apartment. I actually really would rather them not spend time with you. You know, they're going through a lot and I just want them to be with their parents. But it's like, really, it's like a territory thing. You know, it's like, oh my God, there's just so much this scene could have been and we just got nothing. So I have nothing to add. I think you just nailed it of like what this scene was supposed to be.
Crushing. Well, then we get to Carrie bringing Aiden to the apartment. You know, she's like, I'm selling my apartment and buying this for us. And something that I appreciate is that he's at least like, okay, but I really want to make sure this is like your decision. You're not just like doing this for me. And then they have this whole conversation about, because she's like, you know, your wife bullied me. No, she's like, your wife and I like had this conversation where she said like that, you know, she didn't want me to hurt you again. And they have this, I think, very lovely scene on paper. That's where he's like, you know, life is about hurting each other. Like life is about like you hurt me and I hurt you and we keep going. And it's about like what we have in the present moment. And like that's just being alive is like hurting each other, which is like I thought was like a very lovely sentiment. They have this like very tender moment. And then we cut to Carrie returning to her apartment and Lisette is outside and Carrie's like, Lisette, how are you? And she's like, I'm not good. Most dramatic entrance of all time. She's like, I'm not well. And Carrie's like, what's wrong? She's like, the gays who sublet me my apartment are kicking me out. And then she's like, can you imagine ever wanting to leave this neighborhood? And Carrie's like, yeah, I can. And then Lisette's like, anyway, I have to go get my Uber. And then she like runs in the car. And then we end on, and just like that, I went up the stairs of my old apartment without looking back.
A few things that I want to highlight in this scene. Number one, it's always funny to say like, hey, Lisette, how are you? And have the other character respond, I'm terrible, actually. It's just like funny. Especially because she's like dashing to an Uber. But like, you know, that's just hilarious. Number one. Number two, why the distinction of, you know, those gays that are like have an apartment?
So aggressive the way that she says, like, the gays who run my apartment.
Okay, Lisette. Okay. Do you want to talk about that? Third, it is, and this is what made me laugh out loud because I thought we were setting up for a convoluted solution here and then it didn't happen, which is we know that Carrie has committed to selling the apartment. And as you told me, Lisette has kind of been positioned as like the next gen Carrie. We just learned that she has nowhere to go and she loves this neighborhood and loves this apartment and is so upset about it. And Carrie's getting rid of the apartment. You would think, right? If you have watched television or if you just like are a human being, like this keeps saying this over and over, you would expect what's going to happen is Carrie's going to say, well, I know just the solution. How would you feel about taking my apartment? That is clearly what you think is going to happen next. But all she says is, well, good luck.
Yeah. I know. It's so weird.
Funny.
It's so weird because then spoilers in the next episode, that is exactly what she does. And then you're like, why did they like miss that? Like, I don't know what they thought.
Why didn't you include that?
I don't know what I think because they were like, Carrie hasn't made the decision yet. And then she makes the decision when she sees Lisette. And so we're supposed to infer.
There's no reason to leave that off the table as like, we're going to like leave this ambiguous. Like that's what you end on. Right. And just like that, like I gave away the keys or like, and just like that, Lisette moved into my apartment and just like that. It's like, why not end? There's no reason to not end there. They just for some reason choose not to, which I think is so funny. It's like the equivalent of having Carrie hemming and hawing for an episode being like, I found this $100 bill on the street and I don't know what to do with it. And I think I want to get rid of it. And then she walks by someone on the street who's begging for money and says, if only I had $100, I would have a place to sleep tonight. And Carrie goes, good luck. And then goes into her apartment. Like that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
And then in the next episode, they're like, by the way, she gave the person the $100. It's like, why wouldn't you show that? It's so
why not just
needlessly
do it in the moment?
cruel.
Yeah, I know.
So funny.
So stupid.
Sucks to suck, Lisette.
Anyway. And that's a wrap on episode 9. A doozy. A doozy.
A doozy. All right, but is it only really just a preamble for what we're about to get to?
Only time will tell. Well, and in that, we'll go to our usual segment of Get Them and then Release the Kraken. So let's start first with the negative. Emily, what is your Get Them of this episode? The thing that you were like, get it out of here. I don't want to see it anymore.
This is maybe a cop-out, but it's got to be Brady and Lily. I'm not interested in this. I think like that could have been a funny plot of like, our kids are dating. Oh my God. But there's so many other ick factors around this that it falls flat and I don't like it.
Yeah, the politics around that are ick. For me, it's got to be the LTW pregnancy. And it's not even that like this character being pregnant. It's just like introducing this plot point from like a writer perspective is just so sloppy to me. And it really makes me mad.
They really graduated from the Degrassi school of writing of we love to end on a "but I'm pregnant" shocking line.
Yeah, exactly.
And then figure out what we're supposed to do with this afterward. But we just really want to get that shocking line.
And that's what it felt like. Was like, all right, well, we'll just throw this in here and make the episode have tension. Emily, what is your Release the Kraken? What do you want more of?
Well, there's nothing much more to say here, but this is the sad thing is my Release the Kraken was I would have loved to see more of Aiden's ex-wife, but I know we're not going to see anything of her. It's just, it was handled so nothing. Again, a layup and you went to play soccer. What are you doing? There was so much material here that you just chose not to do and work with. And it's kind of nice to have very not maternal Carrie sit across the table from someone who is here with the kids, right? There was just so much setup there. I would have loved to see more of that.
Oh, well. My Release the Kraken's got to be like Anthony and Giuseppe. I feel like it's going to be that for the rest of the season. I mean, we only have 2 episodes left, but anytime they're on screen, it's just the show animates alive, exclamation point, vivant in a way that it's like, is this couple kind of preposterous? Like, yeah, but I'm fully bought and sold on it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's a good one.
Well, and that is In Just Like That, Season 2, Episode 9. Thank you for joining us. Make sure to follow us, like this episode, rate us, write me, tell me. Did you want to see less of Aiden's ex? No. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye.